Hey folks, and welcome to another video of mine. In today's video we're going to be talking about the brand new Edgerunners update on Cyberpunk 2077, otherwise known as patch 1.6. Now the patch is quite exhaustive and the patch notes are as well, so I'm not going to be able to cover each and every point from the patch notes, but what I will do is put a link in the description box so that should you want to check the patch notes, you can check them at your own time. Now, there are a lot of things that this patch brings. It brings various gameplay fixes, improvements, free DLCs, as well as content inspired by the Cyberpunk Edgerunners anime, which is going to premiere on Netflix on the 13th of September. Now, one of the first few changes that it brings about is the ability to cross save your gameplay. Yes, so you have cross progression now, which means that you have cross progression feature between platforms. So your latest saves will be automatically uploaded to the cloud so you can continue where you left off easily on other platforms. Now this cross progression provides the latest save for every save type. So this feature becomes available after you log in with your account, and cross progression, it may be limited when it comes to console versions with regional restrictions, but you can find more details on the patch notes page. When it comes to console specific changes, the actual change has been in Xbox Series S because it's added a new performance mode which can be enabled in the settings or the graphics mode. Now the FPS is now aimed at 60 FPS in 900p with dynamic resolution scaling. That means that it's going to be somewhere around 800p to 1080p range. Now apart from that, when it comes to PlayStation consoles, they have also added a Brazilian Portuguese support for disc copies in Portugal. Again, for further details, you can just look at the patch notes page. Now it's also addressed an issue where switching between first person perspective and third person perspective had a noticeable delay, and it's also addressed the issue with input lag in ray tracing mode on next gen consoles. But like I said, the biggest change here is the fact that on the Xbox Series S, you now get that solid 60 FPS with the performance mode. And I will say this, that with most next-gen titles on Xbox Series S, the visual fidelity is also not that bad. Don't go by, what's on paper like 900p or 800p. It actually looks quite good, I must tell you. And here is also a comparison between the quality mode and the performance mode. Now, there's a stark difference when it comes to how they look on screen, and especially when you're playing, the quality mode after you've played the performance mode looks inferior to it, I must tell you. Now, although they claim that it runs at 1440p at 30 fps, I would take the performance mode of 1080p 60 fps any day on this game, because just take a look at the comparison screen right now and you'd be able to tell the difference straight out. The quality mode, it looks alright, but the performance mode on the Xbox Series S, it looks absolutely bonkers, and it's crazy that this console can get this done. The only thing that I would say is that when it comes to certain trees or plants or foliage, etc., there is still that shimmering effect, which if you've played this game on the PC and if you've kind of, played around with FSR 1.0, then you have the same problem or issue even on the PC. Now, it's not that evident, I would say. It's only when you really look into these trees or leaves, etc., that's when you'll actually be able to figure out the shimmering effect. Overall, however, I think the game looks absolutely bonkers, and I mean it in a good way. It looks great on the Xbox Series S, and I'm also going to compare this with the PlayStation 5, and that's what you will see in the next few screens here. I've said it in the past, and I'll say it again here, that when it comes to the color tones of Cyberpunk 2077, or most of the games that I've played on both these consoles, the Series S and the PlayStation 5, I kind of like the color tones on the Xbox Series S. This is subjective, of course, but I just feel that the colors look better on the Xbox Series S. Now, in terms of the performance, of course, the PlayStation 5 is going to be the superior console, and it received this update in the previous patch. But the Xbox Series S with this patch shows off that 60 FPS and what it can do even though it's limited to just 1080p, and unfortunately, you do not get a ray tracing mode on the Xbox Series S. Completely understand it. It kind of be stretching the console a bit, and that may take a big hit on the performance overall. But hey, what you're getting out here is really good, because if you compare the gameplay on both these consoles side by side, then you will be able to tell that there is very minimal difference. Of course, I do understand that there is going to be softening of the textures, and even when it comes to the trees or the foliage and even hair strands, they may have that shimmering effect, and the shadow quality may not be as good as the PlayStation 5. But I keep saying this, that if you are playing this on a full HD monitor or even on a 4K television, which is upscaling your image, and if you're sitting at a distance of say about 7 to 8 feet, I don't think it's gonna be much of a difference. And you remember I was talking about the color tones? Please note Judy's brain dance equipment. It has that extra spark. It has that, sparkling light, which was missing on the PlayStation 5 version of this game, surprisingly. Now, if you run this side by side, then yes, I think the Xbox Series S stands tall. Of course, it will not be able to match the PlayStation 5. I mean, hardware wise, the PlayStation 5 is just a superior console. And I think the upscale 4K at 60 FPS, it definitely is comparatively better. There's no denying that. And I would just like to mention that I'm no Xbox Series S fanboy or even a PlayStation 5 fanboy, but I'm just speaking on this game from the price to value perspective and what the Series S can do for this game. And it will surprise you. You will be pleasantly surprised, I must say, even when you zoom in on this comparison screen where you are kind of looking at Judy. Take a look at how little of a difference there exists between the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series S version of this game now that it's received this patch 1.6. I mean, it's simply incredible. And kudos to Xbox Series S and also to CDPR for giving us this. When it comes to your wardrobe, it now allows you to change the appearance of your outfit without changing your armor stats. You can create up to 6 outfits using the pieces of clothing you own by accessing the wardrobe in any of these apartments and safe houses, and then switch between them in the inventory panel. There are a lot of visual changes this time around. Apart from adding new hairstyles and character creation, you now have neon rims on bikes, and they now come in different colors. It's also fixed certain instances where vehicles could spawn misaligned with the surface of the road. It's fixed an issue where cars in traffic clipped into each other when slow HDD mode was enabled. And it's also addressed an issue where floating and indestructible parts were present when destroying cars. Apart from that, there have been improvements in dynamic resolution scaling on both the PlayStation 5 and on the Xbox Series S. But again, can I just tell you how cool it feels to just drive around the city, the night city, in 60 FPS on your Xbox Series S. Now, this was a much needed update. It should have come way earlier. But hey, I'm not going to complain now that it's here, and it works flawlessly. In my playtime, I did not experience any frame drops, and it definitely gave me that smooth, solid 60 FPS on the Xbox Series S, and I just can't complain because it performs really, really well. Now, it's not just driving around cars and bikes that have got improvements. Of course, there are visual improvements when it comes to your battling or your action sequences as well, because it's fixed an issue where the last shot fired from a gun didn't have a recoil animation. It's fixed that. It's fixed some of the grass clipping through the floor on the way to Yorinobu's office. So it's got those changes as well. But I'd just like you to take some time and take a look at the screen right now and see the 60 FPS in its full glory when you're driving around in Night City on your Xbox Series S in 60 FPS. Now, I've got a PC which cost almost $1,900 US. The Asus ROG Strix G15 Advantage Edition, which has got an RX 6800 12GB GDDR6 graphics card. And on that laptop, I get about somewhere between 40 to 45 FPS. Of course, that's in 1440p. It's not in full HD. But it's $1,900, guys. This is a console which is $300. And again, I'm going to be talking about it from the price to value perspective, yeah? So it just gives you definitely more than what you've asked for. I mean, from the price to value ratio. It looks stunning. Now, especially those reflections, although it's missing ray tracing on the Xbox Series S, the shiny surfaces, the billboards, the neon lights, etc., all of them give such a lot of character to Night City, and it looks brilliant on the Xbox Series S. So this update is definitely the biggest update that the Xbox Series S has received so far. There's no denying that. No denying that at all. And again, look at it. It's absolutely gorgeous, isn't she? Loads of changes in the gameplay as well. Now you've got an inverted camera axis, which you can also apply to photo mode. It's increased the camera rotation angle in photo mode from 60 by minus 60 to 90 by minus 90 degrees, making vertical shots possible as well. Now it's also added an option to modify V's face and body at Ripperdoc clinics. A lot of changes overall, and some of them I would mention here, but some of them, again, I'll just put up the link in the description box and you can check out the patch notes yourself, because it's quite an exhaustive list. Now there are weapons improvements as well. For instance, you have the chef's knife moved to the knife category. You have replaced the standard butcher's cleaver with an iconic version. So if a player owned a butcher's cleaver, it'll be replaced with a knife. And it's even lowered the price of the slot-o-matic power pistol, available for purchase from vending machines. So quite an exhaustive list again. Indeed. Now it's even fixed an issue where mantis blades with damage mods emitted binding lights upon use. And melee quick attacks, they won't apply status effects from the currently equipped and drawn weapons anymore. So quite a lot of changes there. And this DLC, it has 6 new firearms and 5 new melee weapons like Kappa, the Kayubi or Katomatic, which is a chainsword, which is pretty cool, a razor, which is like a machete, or even an axe called Claw. Apart from that, there are 3 new gigs as well, and these 3 new gigs, well, one of them is called Concrete Cage Trap, which is given to you by the fixer Regina. Then apart from that, there is Desperate Measures, which is given to you by El Capitan, and the location is in Santo Domingo Arroyo. The Concrete Cage Trap, it's located in Kabuki. And finally, you have a gig called Nasty Hangover, which is given to you by none other than our beloved Rogue. And this is also in Santo Domingo Arroyo. So there are 3 new gigs. And with these new weapons, these new firearms, these new melee weapons, you can just get the most out of your Cyberpunk 2077. Now, so many improvements. Apart from that, there are new perks as well, where you've got like a poison perk now, you've got a long shot perk, and it's even fixed an issue where crafting an item using an ingredient with a quest tag may not have removed that ingredient from the inventory if the player had the ex nihilo perk. Apart from that, these quests in Night City, they have more secrets that can be discovered by players. Some of them are even because of this Edgerunners update, so it kind of runs parallelly to the anime, which is gonna get featured on Netflix. So many fixes apart from that, like small changes or fixes to your interactions in your apartments or safe houses. You can sleep in bed for an amount of time now set by player. So loads in store. And again, check the patch notes that I have left in the description box, guys. And if you've liked this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button and also that bell icon should you want to get notified with all my latest videos. Now, with that said, it's a wrap for this one. And I'll see you lovely folks in my next video. Until that time, keep cruising in Night City. Stay safe, take care, and guys, may God bless you all.